Some of the important things to never forget and be on top of is this whole slope-intercept form. This is y equals mx plus b. It's called the slope-intercept form because m is the slope, otherwise known as the gradient, and b is the y-intercept. That's therefore the slope-intercept form. Now, when you have an equation, and let's say, just for example, y equals 2/3 x plus 4, what you need to remember is that 2/3 is your slope, in this case 2/3, and that your y-intercept is 4, and that is where the line that you're going to draw intersects the y-axis. So you always start, when you're going to graph something like one of these equations, you always start here. Start with your y-intercept here. Find that on the y-axis. Let's say it's 4 there. And then from that 4, let's say that's the 4, okay? From that 4, we're going to do, and let's talk about slope for a second. Slope is rise, that's the change in y, over run, the change in x. So we're going to go up 3, rise 2, 1, 2, over 3, 1, 2, 3, and then that creates my third dot, and from there I can connect the dots, and that is my line. Notice that it is a positive slope, so it's a positive line that goes up and to the right. When you're moving left to right, it climbs, like a person climbing the stairs, right? And notice that it's a positive intercept, so it intersects above the 0, the origin of the coordinate plane. It intersects at 4 up here. Also, what's good to remember about slopes is that slopes that have the same slope, so lines that have the same slope, so let's say we have a slope of 2, the parallel slope is also going to be 2, right? If two lines are parallel and you're told that the slope of one line is 1/4, then the parallel slope is 1/4. Conversely, let's be careful. Perpendicular slopes are lines that intersect in a right angle, kind of like this shows you a symbol of a right angle. This is the symbol for perpendicular. Let's go back to our same original 2. Let's say we have a slope of 2. The perpendicular slope is the negative reciprocal. So you take this number and you make it negative. So my perpendicular slope is negative, and then you flip the fraction. So if this isn't a fraction, make it into 1 by putting it over 1, and it becomes negative 1/2. Same token, let's say I am already given a fraction of a slope as 1/4, then the perpendicular slope is going to be negative, change the sign of it, 4/1. Let's suppose you're given a negative slope, as an example, negative 2/3. What is the perpendicular slope of that? Again, the perpendicular slope, change the sign. If it is negative, make it positive, and flip the fraction. Okay? It's also important that we remember that horizontal lines and vertical lines are like our axes, right? X and Y axis. So, let's actually take that to the next page. Horizontal lines go this way, vertical lines go this way. This is like the x-axis, but at the x-axis, y equals 0. So all your horizontal lines are going to be where y equals. So y equals 1 or y equals negative 2, right? Your vertical line is like the y-axis, but at the y-axis, that's where x equals 0. So your vertical lines are going to be all your x's equal various numbers, and they're going to go vertically. So x equals, 3, or x equals negative 3.5. Those are examples of vertical lines. And last but not least, let's just talk for a second about formulas. Obviously, formulas will be given to you. Formulae will be given to you. One thing you need to remember is if you're trying with any of these points, notice how they all have that that little subscript here, y2, y1, x2, x1, x1, x2. Remember that if you have a given point, let's say our 2 points are 2, 4, and 5, negative 3. If those are your 2 points that you're given, the first step you should always take is to label these x and y, x and y. And then these are the 1s, and the second point are the 2s. And do that before you substitute. All right? Label before you substitute, and then you'll be in fine shape. All right? Now go work on some of those problems, and we'll see you in class.